of the alizarin, a little bit more of that. And then I'm going to use this colour to begin to redefine the eyelids. But even at this stage, even though, you know, we're a little way into the painting, I want to stay fairly loose, and that's why I've switched away from the filbert for the moment and gone back to the flat brush. And, you know, although it's not a particularly large brush, I try to use the largest brush that I can, because it stops me from fiddling about too much and getting too fussy with my painting. But that said, you know, if it's not working with the large brush, then obviously I'll use a smaller one. So I'm not really trying to draw an eye here or the area around the eye. I'm just trying to look at the patches of colour, the shape that they are. And think about how I can create that shape with my little square flat brush. I'm looking mostly at the tone as opposed to the exact colour. And again, I'm making use of this colour as much as I can as I move around the area near the eyes. So having done that, we can come down to the nose and put a little touch in there. And there, perhaps. Let's just lift off some of that with my finger. And then put some down there and there. So I've got this shadow being cast across my cheeks where, you know, created by the glasses lenses. And I'm going to put the glasses in, the lenses and the glasses frame right at the end. Basically, that's my plan at the moment. Do things being a little darker under the chin there. It's still not dark enough, but starting to move things in the right direction. And then some of the shadow area on the neck here is too dark at the moment. And we can put a little touch of that same colour on the ear. And some up here on the forehead, which is going to help to hide that line that I got wrong earlier. Now the surface of the painting is pretty dry at the moment, so I just want to moisten that a little bit with the spray bottle. I've taken the same colour and just mixed in some more titanium white and some more of the cadmium yellow to give me the beginnings of a highlight colour. It's still not quite light enough, so I'm grabbing some more of the titanium white. And it's still not quite the colour I want, but, you know, again, it's getting there gradually. And while the surface of the painting is still reasonably moist, I'm just going to dip into my clean patch of titanium white and just going to see what effect that has if I just kind of gently apply that into the still wet paint. To just try and gently and fairly subtly lighten different areas around the head. So I'm still using the same little flat brush, and you know, it's really adaptable because I can just angle the brush in different ways, use the edge or the corner if I need to get a smaller mark, and obviously just use it in the normal way if I want a relatively broad mark. So again, I'm just looking at patches of colour, shapes of tone. I'm often squinting at my reference to try and help me pick out the brightest areas. All right, well next I want to, having done some of the lighter tones, I want to go to the other end of the range now. So I'm going to grab, back to my filbert, going to grab some ultramarine blue and a touch of the alizarin, and that's going to give me a reasonably deep purple. Got a little bit of the light paint on the brush from earlier, but you know, that's okay. That's just going to mix in and you know, just soften the harshness of that purple a little bit. And I'm going to use this little filbert now to start doing a little bit more precise drawing with the brush. So starting on this eye again, getting the shape of the eyes right is, you know, one of the key things to capturing a likeness, so, and an expression, of course. So there's a little line of dark there across the top. Not much, but you know, I probably added a little bit too much, if anything, there. And then I need to soften this drawing line that I've got in there at some point, but I can do that later. So just taking some of the paint off the brush so that I can get a little bit of a finer line. Now the line of the eyelid almost disappears in the reference here, but the crease above the eyelid is visible. So when we talk about the shape of the eyes to capture a likeness, we're not just talking about the shape of the eye itself, the bit that you know, the bit that you see through, the shape of the eyelids and how they fit into the eye socket and the brow. That's all, you know, just as important for capturing the person. Okay, so we've got a little bit more structure to the eye there. Now, I need to refine the shape of the bottom eyelid as well, but I can't do, well, I could do it with this darker colour, but not the most sensible way to go, because I'll just have to go over it again. So for now, I'm going to leave it at the top, and let's go and have a look at the other eye. One of the things to think about when you're drawing a line is to look at how that line that you're putting down, think about varying the thickness of that line. You know, generally speaking, especially when you're drawing something like a face, you don't want to have the same thickness of line everywhere. You know, that's a sweeping statement, but I would say almost without exception that's the case when you're drawing a human. Okay, now I need to refine the shape of the nose a little bit here. And I kind of feel now that, you know, the line I'm putting down is too dark really for this area, but nevertheless I'm going to persist with it just to try and get the drawing improved. So I'm just very, very lightly feathering the brush across the surface of the paper so I put down just a very weak line as needed. Now, when I get down to the bottom of the nose here, the shadows do deepen a little, so I can afford to put a slightly heavier application of paint down. Again, the colour isn't quite right, but this is very much restructuring we're doing here. Fairly subtle cosmetic surgery compared to the original drawing, but you know, necessary nonetheless. I can also use this colour to just slightly improve the shape of the nostril. Again, I need to do further work, but that's starting to improve things a bit. Now, the same colour, I often use, you know, the pupils of the eye, you know, probably the only pure black part of the face, but I tend to use pure ultramarine blue, but today I'm actually just going to carry on with this purple. I quite like this colour. So let's put a little area, a little dark area there for one pupil. I'm not sure I like the way I've done that. There's the other one. Yeah, okay, to be continued on that bit. We'll have to come back to that in a moment. Now, the mouth, definitely need to improve things here. I'm just going to add a little bit more of the alizarin crimson and even a touch of white so that it's not quite such a harsh purple, but I do need to get the line of the mouth much better than it is. So that line there, that little V in the top lip isn't too bad. Then my upper lip comes across there. And then where my teeth are showing, just to the right of that, there's a little triangle of shadow in the corner of the mouth. And then there's a softer shadow underneath the top teeth, which I'll put in detail later. Go back to that darker version of the purple for the other shadow in the corner, and for the shadow under the top lip, even though it's not a very harsh shadow. We'll just kind of line that in for the moment.